Don't know what happened there. Okay, I'm live on Facebook and where am I? Facebook and YouTube. Just one second. Okay, it was too hot in my beanie, so I had to change it into a baseball cap. My hair I got hat hair, so. Okay. Gee, I look like I've been crying. Why is that? My eyes are itchy too. Maybe it's a bit of hay fever. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Here we go. Don't ask me why I'm on so late. I don't know. I was just in the mood for a live. I was just finishing up some stuff and I thought I haven't done a live in a few days, so I think I'll get on here. Okay. Let me see. I'm feeling all discombobulated. I'm not good at nighttime, but I'm going to give it a go. Okay, so let's see. I'm curious to see how many people are going to turn up at this time of night. I think this is the latest live I've ever done. So we'll see how I do. And how many people turn up. So I got a few people turning up. We've been putting a lot of our energy into the podcast, so other stuff hasn't been getting as much attention, but coaching and the podcast are the two focuses right now. So podcast is going really well. And I'm doing it with my daughter, which is tons of fun. Okay, I'm assuming I'm not going to get many people, so I'll just get started now, even though it's a small number so far. But that's good. It means I'll probably get to all your questions. Anyway, I'm Lisa, so welcome or welcome back. I'm a parenting coach, a mom, and a grandmother. If you go on BratBusters.com, that's my website. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and what else? Podcast. So you can check that out. We're doing 2 podcasts a week now. We might even increase that. It's just taking off. So thanks for your support on there. So if you have any questions, you can just let them fly and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay. Yeah, it's so late for me. I'm never on at this time of the night. I even look tired. Like I'm not good at night. I'm a morning person. I don't know why I turned up so late. I just felt like doing it because I haven't been on here in so long and I had time. So, okay. So do you have any questions for me? If not, I'll just sit here and drink my Diet Coke. Or maybe you're new, like, because I'm not on, I've never been on this late before, so maybe you're new. Do you have any questions for me? Am I on the right channel? Yeah, I am. Okay, I'll just yabber on. Okay, I'll just go on my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Most parents who do these lives tend to have toddlers. Oh, I got a question here, but I'll still go through these top tips. These are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, connect with toddlers in their world, not yours. So in other words, you don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. Number 4, when you want to discipline toddlers, you do so in their world. They're not about words. A toddler's under the age of 3 to me. They're not about words. They're all about actions. You use consistent corrective actions because they learn through repetition. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They've got one marble and some tumbleweeds. So give them some slack. They're just learning. Okay, so I got a couple of questions here. This is from Isabel. My son is 4 and he is so overreacting all the time. He hits me and screams at me. That's a tell. It means you're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills. He is screaming for leadership. Believe it or not, that's how they communicate that. They don't say, by the way, mother, I would love you to be a leader. They scream, they kick, they fight. That's what they do. So he's screaming for leadership. Check out my behavior board. It'll get you started. It's what does my daughter call it? The learner's, what does she call it? I can't remember what she calls it. The behavior board is the start in all this. Anyway, it's where you start if they're 3 and above. So check that out. It's completely free. If you want to look at the courses or coaching, that's all next level. Yeah, you don't handle it. You handle yourself. So you said, I don't know how to handle it. Yeah, we're not fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. You set yourself up as a leader and he will follow. Okay? So you lead, they will follow. You can't fix them. Here's the fix. Here's the Band-Aid on that. It doesn't work that way. You start setting yourself up as a calm leader, and then they will follow. They will calm down. You got to do the work first to get the results. Everyone wants to get the results first. It doesn't work that way. You got to fix yourself first. That's all I teach here. I can't talk about clients really today, but if you're watching, I don't know if you are, because some people have different handles. But yeah, I get some real beautiful turnarounds where parents come to me to learn leadership, and you can just see it. They just they're blossoming like after a while, and it's just beautiful. I love what I do. It's just wonderful. Just calm down, and then they just start to get it. It's just absolutely fantastic. Anyone can learn this. I look drunk. I sound drunk. I'm just not good at night. Okay. Just telling you that right now. I'm a morning person. I'm up long before the birds are. So yeah, I'm not good at night. I don't even know why I came on tonight. I thought, well, I haven't done a live in so long. I just haven't had time. I'm so busy right now. So I thought before I go to bed, I'll do a live. I look drunk. I don't drink. So anyway, it's funny. Throwing food on the floor. My LO. What does LO mean? Little one. Okay, maybe. But whenever I see the letter O, I can't think of it as one. Like if I see an acronym with the word one in it, like, oh, it starts with an O, I can't mentally go there very well because it's never mind. It's got to be little. I always think LO, little own. It's nighttime. I'm punchy. Sorry. 13 months. Okay. If they throw food on the floor, you just say no, pick it up and throw it away. And then you hand feed them. Okay. There's no punishment for that. They're just 13 months old. They're just learning. They're just having fun with you, right? They're testing it out, but then you hand feed them. They're not going to like it, but they'll eventually learn. Okay. What are some examples of consequences besides chores, loss of screen time? Well, the chores can be anything. Like, don't get caught up in what the consequence is. Get caught up in consistency, following through with it. It's just a good deed. So it could even be just brushing your hair. If they don't like doing it, get them to brush your hair for 5 minutes. Can be anything. Can be make your bed. Yeah. But then the second consequence, the loss of screen time or 24-hour media blackout. Not every family has screen time. So you can take away a favorite toy or something that they like to do every single day. But don't take away love. You can take away part of love. Like what I mean is if you read 3 books at bedtime and they love it, maybe just read 2. So you don't take it away, but you can sort of minimize it as the secondary punishment. Anyway, check out the behavior board. It'll make more sense if you've already seen that. If you're new, welcome. I'm never on this late. I'm not at my best at night. I'm horrible at night. I'm just a morning person. So anyway, but yeah, and it's really good because I knew it was going to be a very small group tonight because of the time. And it means I should be able to answer all your questions. Because like if I'm here at 4 o'clock or 5, it's so crazy. I can't get to half the questions. So it's one of the reasons I came on. That'd be more relaxing. My daughter 3 really dislikes her father, consistently says, I don't like my daddy. Is this normal? I don't know the circumstances. I can't comment on that. Are you still together? Does he beat her? I mean, I don't know the circumstances. I have no idea. I would need context. That would almost be coaching. If you're really concerned and there's something going on, you'd have to hire me to figure that one out. That would be like saying, why am I not losing weight? But I have no context around, are you eating right? You see what I'm saying? I need information around that. And that would be, I'd have to assess it. I wish I could talk to you on the phone. My questions are way too long, but I've been trying what you've given about. I have a 2.5-year-old girl, 1.5 girl. I also have a 14-year-old boy and 2 bounce kids, 13, 8. Oh my goodness. That would be coaching. You'd have to hire me for that. Yeah. I don't just take phone calls and answer questions. If you saw my schedule, you'd know why. Pretty busy. Okay. I've never made it 20 days on time. I usually catch the reruns. Happy to be here. Yeah, I'm never on at this time. This is the latest I've ever done a live. I don't even know why I did it. It's just I haven't done one in so long, and I had some free time tonight before bed. I'm usually in the shower getting ready for bed at this time. I am not a night person at all. I can see it. My eyes are all red rimmed and everything. I'm just lousy at night. I'm a morning person. You should see me in the morning. I'm up at like 4 or 5 every morning, off to the gym. Okay, North Carolina. Hi, Sharon. North Carolina. I haven't had a lot of Southerners as clients lately. I go in waves. Like I'll get a whole bunch of people from Eastern Europe, and then I'll get a whole bunch of people from New York, and then the South, and seem to come in clumps. It's quite interesting. And I couldn't figure out why I'd say about half my clients for 2024 were Jewish. And I couldn't figure out why that was. It took me a while, but evidently rabbis were talking about me. Also, they were starting to tell me, they said that with the Jewish religion, they like a lot of structure and calmness sort of. And they said that my style fits in with that. So I found that fascinating. I learned a lot. Okay. What if your leadership skills work with 2 kids, but not the 5-year-old? He is defiant as all get out. Yeah, you just haven't found the right consequences, the right style with him. Like probably your body language or tone of voice just isn't working with him. Each kid is different. I had 2 kids, they had the same rules, but I treated them kind of differently because my son's more like me in a lot of ways, in that he likes to be teased. He's more like verbal, more to say what he's thinking all the time. My daughter's more calm. She thinks before she speaks. And so I had to be a little bit more sensitive with her. Whereas my son, I could just let stuff fly, whatever was on my mind. Same with him. But yeah, so, maybe you just haven't quite found what works with your 5-year-old as much. But yeah, keep trying. People seem to think that they can parent the exact same way with every single kid, or else they might have 2 kids that it all works perfectly. And then you think there's something wrong with the one that doesn't work with. It's just you. You just haven't figured out the style with that particular kid. Shouldn't the discipline fit the crime? So the punishment fits the crime? Not necessarily. You can't always do that. That's a fallacy. I don't know who's talking. I don't know anyone else out there talking about parenting. But yeah, that's ridiculous. It doesn't have to fit the crime. It's nice if it can sometimes. Like a good example of that is if you hit your little brother gets to play with your favorite toy for the next half hour. Something like that. That's a good punishment fits the crime. A lesson is a lesson. It doesn't have to reflect exactly what they did wrong. Can't always do that. Don't get caught up in that. I know it's out there that because people have said that, oh, someone says that, that's kind of stupid. It's okay. I mean, it can, but it doesn't have to. I guess a good example of that would be if you were to get a speeding ticket, your punishment would be you could only drive at half speed everywhere you go for the next week. That would fit the crime, right? Doesn't always work that way. Sometimes, like let's say kids do something naughty, then I might get them to brush my hair or something like that, like just something crazy. It's connecting, it's bonding. But I remember once my son was late for school or something. Something happened where he was like, and he was 12 years old, and the punishment was either no video games tonight or you can give mom a makeover. He gave me a makeover. We had a blast. We were laughing all the way through it. But yeah, did that fit the crime? He was late for something, so we had to give mom a makeover. Does that fit the crime? No. Was it a wonderful consequence? Did we have a lot of fun with it? Yeah. Was he late again? No. You see, just have fun with it. Get creative. I've followed you before, and you have said it's never easy because of the attention shift. I talk about energy shifting, but I don't think I've talked about attention. I don't know what you mean. We practice soft hands. I don't talk like that with our pets. I don't talk like, none of that's my language. You might have been watching someone else. I don't talk. I've never said anything like that. I've been talking about this for like 20 years in my business, and I've never said anything like that. So maybe it was someone else. What do you do with a kid during the tantrum? They throw stuff and hit. You physically restrain them if they're getting violent. If they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property, you just physically hold them. Just for maybe 30 seconds or a minute. Let go. When they start up again, grab them again. You still don't look at them or talk to them. You still ignore the tantrum, but you manage the violence. Okay? That's it. Does it get worse? Do they get worse? Oh, yes. They're like a bucking bronco when you try and hang on to them. There's a lesson in that. You got to go through the storms to get to the lesson. Everyone wants to avoid the scenes. That's where the gold is. That is the lesson. That's like that 8-year-old kid who said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. It's like he knew what he was up against. Right away, he figured me out. He thought, oh, she knows what she's doing. Didn't bother me at all. Go ahead, bring it on. Okay, good question. This is from Mom on YouTube. I have the same issue with my toddler throwing food. I've tried feeding him myself, but then he pulls the food out of his mouth and chucks that on the floor. Yeah, I would just say no, and then I would clean him up and put him down after that. Even if he's really little, he'll eventually learn. They're going to do crazy stuff for a while. They're going to drive you nuts for a period of time, but just manage yourself. If you get angry and upset, they're going to keep doing it. Often they do it just to see that reaction. My daughter and I were talking today. We were working in a cafe. We worked together. And I was going through some comments on Instagram, which I normally never do. But anyway, it's a long story. So I was answering some comments and I said, I don't get as many nasty ones anymore. Because when I was first sort of out there in a big way a couple of years ago, I got a lot of hate. And people know I love that, right? Because I know it just comes from, you're threatened or something. So anyway, so I was saying I don't get a lot of hate. And she goes, you should read the Facebook comments. Evidently, Facebook is where I get the nastiest comments these days, which is interesting. It's funny. I don't have time to go through them, but it's quite funny. I don't know why. Why is Facebook where the nasty stuff happens? What do you do when your 4-year-old is mean all the time and says he hates everyone? I don't know what's going on there. I'd have to assess that. So just set up yourself as a leader. Generally, that stuff sort of melts away. When they have a calm leader as a parent that they trust, you're a safe place to land. You know how to deal with bad behavior. You also know how to connect with them and have fun. They're not usually mean. Mean also means unhappy and miserable, low self-esteem, self-hatred, all that stuff. That's where that comes from. Children with a leader aren't usually like that. So work on yourself. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents here. You lead, they will follow. I worked with troubled teenagers. Teenagers are kind of my specialty. And one of them said to me once, he said, I didn't like myself until I met you, Lisa. That's what a leader does for a kid or a teenager. You bring out the best in them. Okay, thank you. I don't get upset, but he's very underweight. So the doc says he just gets calories. Otherwise, it's just like, okay, guess here. Yeah, I don't know. I can't comment on that because I'm not a doctor. So if you've got a doctor working with you, yeah, okay. I can't comment on that. As soon as someone says there's a medical issue, or you see what I mean? I'm not a doctor. I don't have a clue. I'm not qualified to discuss that. How do you get a toddler to transition to a baby coming home? You don't. How could you possibly explain what's going to happen? By the way, there's going to be an apocalypse. How could you possibly explain that? You just be prepared. Yeah, they're going to go crazy sometimes, but watch that baby like a hawk. Never trust a toddler, no matter how innocent they may seem. I had a friend long time ago. She had a darling little boy. We used to get together a lot because both our little boys were gentle, so they played beautifully together. And anyway, she brought her baby home, and her beautiful, gentle, sweet little boy got sick of the baby after about a week. Had no idea what a baby was, right? Picked her up and threw her on the ground. Brand new baby. She was okay, but holy moly, what a shock. I would never have guessed he would have done that, ever. But they don't understand. So yeah, just watch that baby like a hawk. Yeah, an apocalypse is coming. Yay. It's just, their whole world's going to be turned upside down. Well, I tell him that's okay. I love you. And it just makes him madder. You're doing the mini therapy session stuff? Yeah, he doesn't care about that. Yeah, are you talking to him when he's mad? Big mistake. Don't do that. Just keep watching. You'll get it. I deal with bad behavior, but I focus on the good kid. I don't focus on moods, anger, tantrums. I don't focus on any of that garbage at all. It'll disappear. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. Do I want to comment on this? Yeah, I'll read it. How to shut down the TV with agreement when the time is up. He's 5 years old. with agreement. So you want him to be agreeable. I don't worry about that stuff. I just want the action done. So, yeah. I could go on about this a little bit. Should I? I could feel me going on about this. Okay. What you're saying to me is you want them to be respectful and agreeable, right? I don't worry about that. Once you're a leader, they are. But I would say, okay, the TV goes off in 5 minutes or whatever. Say that. Okay, 5 minutes. If they don't do it, I go over and turn it off and let the tantrum happen. And then I would say, I'll tell you what. I said, last night didn't go so well when you were asked to turn off the TV. So tonight there'll be half the amount of TV. That was your choice. So I would do it that way. I would cut down on the next night. And then if they're not agreeable, I would cut it down even more. So I would try that. I got a million different ideas. That's just one of them I would try because he's 5. I wouldn't necessarily do that with a 3-year-old. How to connect with 10-year-old. Watch how they play and join in. Whatever their interests are, whatever they're doing, join in. And don't try and talk about, this is great. Aren't we, we're having all these great feelings. Don't talk like that. Just play. Have fun. Their love language is play, fun, enjoyment, happiness, laughter. So join in. Watch what they're doing and join in their world. Connect with them in their world, not yours. And don't do the mini therapy sessions discussing, well, this is wonderful because you don't normally connect. This is great, all that stuff. Don't do that. Yeah, you'll just wreck it. I did what you said, didn't engage in the complaining, replied, oh, well, and it worked. She walked off and did the task. You're great. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, great, Jessica. So what I say is when they're complaining about something and, oh, I don't want to do it. You're not fair. You're not. And I go, oh, well, who cares what you think? You know what you have to do. I could care less if you don't like what you have to do. It means nothing to me. Nothing. You got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. So you're mean, you're awful, I don't want to do it, you're horrible, you're not fair. Whatever, walk away. So you're saying that worked. Perfect. It's just showing that, yeah, you can't manipulate me. I'm not going to go, well, I am fair. Of course I am. Loser. As soon as you start talking like that, you're not a leader. They pick up on that. As soon as you start explaining yourself, once you've done the right thing, and you're correcting their bad behavior or having a consequence for their bad behavior, that's all you have to do. You don't have to explain yourself. The more you explain, the more they complain. They already know. Parents often tell me when I'm coaching how brilliant their child is. They're gifted. And then when it comes to the consequences, well, they forgot. They didn't really understand. Wait a minute. You told me on our first session they were gifted. Now on our second session, they're a raving moron. Like, come on. They're playing you like a fiddle and you're buying into it. My response, I forgot, I didn't know. Well, you'll know next time, won't you? Like, I don't buy into that. And then I get it over with. And then after it's all over with, say, oh, do you want to go play a game? You got to connect with them. If you're not connecting with no anger, none of that, no in the doghouse, no lingering resentment or no clicking your tongue or rolling your eyes, you can't do any of that. That's disappointment, shaming, blaming. It's mean. So yeah, just deal with, well, you chose to do that bad behavior, so here's your consequence. Once it's done, do you want to go play a game? See, you deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. The parents don't transition very well with that. They often get so emotionally caught up in the bad behavior that they can't let it go. If bad behavior, when you're disciplining, when you're laying down the law, when you're doing these, using the behavior board or whatever, giving them a consequence, that's a business transaction. That's not a time for emotions. That's a business transaction. Okay, there's no emotions in that. It's like, okay, so you did that, you broke the rule, so here's the consequence, like that. They can kick and scream and whatever, just to make sure that they follow through with the consequence. If they don't, then you take something away. It's all in the behavior board. I'm going over to Instagram now, by the way. Check out the link above or BratBusters.com. It's all the same thing. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into the podcast. My daughter and I do it together because we work together. So thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Happy parenting. Oh, they've changed it. I've changed the way they do this. I'm getting better at the changes on social media because when they change all the buttons, I used to freak out. Now I'm so clever now, I can figure it out. A lot of stuff throws me off on technology though. Okay, it's a very weird time for me to be on. So let's see how many people turn up. Instagram's usually pretty fast. I usually wait till I get 100 people in here to get going, but it's a weird time, so it might not happen. Let's see here. Okay, 70, 73. Hello, Veronica. Okay, how many people I've got? Okay, I got 80 people. Let's get going. Okay, my name's Lisa. Welcome or welcome back. I'm a parenting coach and mom. I'm also a grandmother. If you go to BratBusters.com, you'll see my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and you can look into our podcast. You know, my daughter and I work together. We do the podcast together. It's going great guns. A lot of stuff's coming out in that podcast. Oh, I did something so embarrassing. We were filming, I think, yesterday, and I did something really stupid. Like I look like a complete idiot. I don't know which podcast it is. It'll be coming out in a week or two. Anyway, so I said, do not edit that out. I want people to see what a doofus I am sometimes. It was so embarrassing. It's funny. Anyway, because she does all the editing and all that stuff. Okay, so let's get going with the live. Let me see here. I'm on really late. It's the latest I've ever done a live. I just haven't had time lately. I'm just so busy. So I thought I got to do a live. I haven't done a live in days. Okay, how do I stop my 2-year-old from repeating bad words she heard? That's difficult with a 2-year-old. So I would just say no, and then I kind of snub her a little bit, like just no, and then I'm just doing something else, looking distracted, not angry. Don't look angry. Angry actually feeds the bad behavior with a toddler. Any emotion that they can get out of you, any heightened emotion, good or bad, will feed a toddler. They'll just keep doing it. Okay, so just go no, and then just look distracted and do the dishes or something. So eventually she'll learn. And then when they start talking without the bad word, then you engage again if you can. Okay. Okay, God, I got to hit this one, Melissa. I'm going to hit this comment. It's on YouTube. As a grandparent, knowing what you are saying would be so helpful for my son and daughter-in-law. I don't know if I should get involved and make suggestions. I'm not sure it would be well received. Nope. Never, absolutely not. I'm a grandmother. It's none of my damn business how they parent. I never say a word. By the way, I think they're doing a great job just to get that out there. But even if they weren't, nope, none of my business. That's just insulting, right? Let them make their own mistakes. Let them, you weren't perfect. I wasn't perfect. Yeah, I am a very good mother and mother-in-law. I would never micromanage them. I wouldn't, because it makes them feel bad. As soon as you start suggesting what they should be doing, you're actually insulting what they are doing. So yeah, if they ever ask your advice, say, I've been watching this woman. She seems to have some common sense. Just say it like that if they ever ask you anything. But yeah, it's none of your business. It's none of my business. See, I'm a grandma. None of my business. Because for many reasons. But unsolicited advice is an insult. Would be like saying to a friend, I've got a really good diet. You could lose some weight. Would you do that? It's the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Oh, Tabitha, I had my baby January 11th. Excellent. Congratulations. How nice. How exciting. That would be just 5 days old. Wow. I don't know what they do. I have my kids in Australia. They ship you out of that hospital same day if they can. I couldn't because my son had jaundice, so I had to go under the lights. And then, so I was there for one night. And then my daughter I had an epidural because I broken my back with my son. So I had surgery, so I had to have an epidural. And, but they ship you out so fast. Do you know what they found too? Now, I don't know if they still say this, but I asked them, I said, why don't you ship all the parents out? They say moms are less likely to have postpartum if they get home to reality faster. Because if they're all pampered in the hospital with all the balloons and the flowers, and then they go home to reality, it's harder. So I've heard this, there's less postpartum if they're shipped home. And you're not sick. It's not a medical issue. But yeah, they couldn't get rid of us fast enough. They were kicking us out of there right away. which I loved, actually. I wanted to get home anyway. So I'm scrolling through to make sure that you're still here. I'm going to, oh my goodness, tons of questions. I didn't expect so many people to turn up on this late. Okay. How to make 4-year-old greet people. Should I keep reminding my child to say hi and bye? No, I wouldn't force that. I don't force that kind of thing on kids. It's okay if they're shy. And if I meet someone and they got a kid with them and they say hi, and they're no, I'm like, don't force it. Don't force that. Plus, the longer they're shy, the quieter they are, so we can have a conversation. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, don't force it. I wouldn't. What do I do when the tantrum is in public? I don't quite understand this, so I'm going to read the whole question. What do I do when the tantrum is in public and it involves hitting and scratching and screaming, right? I carried her out of the store, but she fell asleep on the way home. What does that have to do with the tantrum? I don't know what the falling asleep has to do with the tantrum, because you don't discuss tantrums or deal with them. It's just once they're over, they're over. So yeah, and you never look at them or talk to them while they're having a tantrum. If it's a public tantrum and it's a quieter place, yeah, I'd pick them up, carry them, and put them in the car, kicking and screaming. That's okay. You never address a tantrum, because if you do, any attention is like fertilizing a tantrum. You'll notice a child will never have a tantrum all by themselves in a room. It's around you. It's always to get attention or to get what they want. Okay, I was in hospital 12 hours. They usually require 24 hours or want you there 24 hours. Yeah, I can see that, but I remember my kids are like, they're 35 and 30 now. And but I can remember, yeah, they basically kicked you out the same day. And I thought, wow, that was great. I love that. Yeah, I didn't want to stick around in a hospital. But I had a lot of experience with kids. They put on my bed, do not disturb experienced mother with my first. I said, yeah, I get tons of experience. So they can just leave you alone, not worry about it. And then the other moms, they needed nurses to come in. So I can see that part of it. If you're not experienced, yeah, it would be very helpful to have someone showing you what to do. Do chores go on the behavior board? 3.5-year-old girl. Yeah, you can put follow chore chart. It's not the first behavior board I would do, but follow chore chart and then make 3 little tiny chores. Make your bed. You might just start there. It could be make your bed and put your dirty clothes in the hamper. It might just be the chore chart. Simple. But you got to remind her, because she's 3.5. She's little. My kids had chores from the time they were really little. But I use leverage with that. So I didn't have it on. I never used a behavior board. It's just a teaching tool I used to teach parents how to do this. But yeah, I would just say, okay, now every morning you got to make your bed and put your clothes in the hamper, whatever. And then if they didn't do it, I don't micromanage kids. I don't like to tell them what to do. I just lay down the guidelines and then let them make decisions. So I would wait till they ask for something. So if they, can we please go and play such and such? Sure, as soon as you finish your chores, and they'd run and do their chores, and then we'd get to play. But I didn't make their chores too awful. I got them in the habit of doing chores, so that when I said, sure, as soon as you finish your chores. So I use the as soon as method. So I never had to tell my kids what to do. That's what I remember my son once said. Well, I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was my son. He said, I don't remember you telling us what to do. And I said, I didn't. I guided you into making your own choices. So they sort of were their own leaders, really. But if they messed up, then I was there to say, okay, well, you forgot that, so here's a consequence. Or I'd say, what do you think you should do? What do you think is a good consequence? Oh, here we go. People are showing up because the kids are finally asleep and need to have these conversations. That's cute. Oh, good question. I'm glad you asked, Elijah. Would you suggest a teacher to adopt these ideas? No, I don't teach teaching. I know nothing about it. Business, I teach parenting. It's personal. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I couldn't do their jobs. Those are businesses. It's different. They're not your kids. I teach parenting, how to bond with your own child. But a lot of these methods can work at school, but you've got to decide what doesn't. A lot of things that work at school don't work at home. That's proof that a lot of clients are teachers. So it's different. It's personal. A really good example of that is a reward chart. It's wonderful in the classroom because it's not personal. It's used with 30 kids. They don't take it personally, and it's not a personal relationship. It's different. A reward chart for good behavior at home is a total disaster. What you're saying to your child is you're normally rotten, but if you should happen to be good, you'll get a reward. How ridiculous is that? Could you imagine your husband or wife having a reward chart for you? If you're good today, I'll give you a gold star. How patronizing and insulting is that, eh? But at school, it works because it's not personal. See? It's different. Okay, I've been following your advice. The as soon as you line works really well with my 2-year-old. Yeah, I was doing that with my kids when they were tiny. Now I have a cookie? Sure, as soon as you pack up your blocks, then you'll get a cookie. Mommy will help, sort of showing them how to do it. So they did it. They didn't argue ever. I don't remember my kids ever pushing back except when my son had tantrums. But I was always kind of encouraging, sure, as soon as. I didn't say, go pick up your blocks. I never talked like that. I'd wait till they wanted to do something. Or I'd say, oh, I'll tell you what, let's go pick up your blocks and then we can do that. So I would use, teach them, you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. Both my kids have wonderful self-discipline. They're very good workers. And I think that taught them that. You got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. And they didn't think anything of it. Just looking at, what's it called? YouTube. Do you teach same-sex couples as well as men and women couples? Of course. What's the difference? Parents are parents. Of course I do. And what's interesting is I've been doing this for about 20 years. Maybe 20 years ago, some of the conversation might be around some prejudice, issues that the kids are having. Not so much anymore. People are finally like, geez, finally getting smarter, right? Who cares? Plus I live in a very progressive city, so I always find that stuff really weird to relate to, that people are judgmental about that stuff. In Vancouver, we don't care about any of that, but no, doesn't make any difference. Parents are parents. Thoughts on 5-year-old whining, crying because he doesn't want what you're cooking for dinner? Well, that my kids would have been justified. I hate cooking. I don't quite know what to say to that because I did cook. I made everything from scratch. I hate cooking. God, I hate it. Oh, it's torture. I'd rather scrub a toilet any day. I love it. If someone's coming over to my place for dinner, they know they're cooking, but I'll do all the cleanup. I'll do all the shopping, all the cleanup, but I ain't cooking. I hate it. I did it for 30 years for a family from scratch. I made everything. Oh God, it was torture. Anyway, but I cooked around their taste buds. I knew what they liked, and I don't want to force kids to eat something they hate. So I knew what they liked, and I was very good at hiding healthy stuff in everything because I made everything from scratch, and we had no junk food in the house at all. I'm a real health food nut. So they knew. Like my son, the first time he ever had pizza out somewhere, he said, "Mommy, the sauce was really weird. It was red." Well, my sauce was brown because it had pureed spinach in it. So but I cooked around their taste buds. So what if they do something wrong that used to be in the behavior board? Do you provide a consequence anyway, since that has already been established? I don't quite know what you mean by that. The behavior board is just a teaching tool, like in coaching and in the courses, or in the older course that you use a behavior board because it doesn't start with toddlers. We only use a behavior board for about 3 weeks. You can keep it going if you want, but after that, we deal with everything. So even if the behavior board isn't up anymore, say, oh, you broke a rule, but it's not up there. It's still a rule. Like I wouldn't defend myself with that. It's still a rule. You still know you don't do the wrong thing. So I'm here to have a consequence when you choose to do I don't try and stop kids from doing the wrong thing. I encourage them to do the right thing by having a consequence for the wrong thing. I don't micromanage anybody. I'm just here if you make a mistake. That's all. Okay, so I don't know if that answers your question. I wasn't too clear on that. me see. I'm reading on Kelsey, you asked some interesting questions. I'm going to read this one out. I don't quite know what you mean by this. This is the same one who said, do you teach same-sex couples? Which, of course, I do. Have to say, well, I think no parent should have a favorite child. I think some parents may like a certain child more if they have similar interests. What do you think that is? They may have more in common with that child, but like I have a lot more in common with my daughter. We're both girls, for one thing. We both work out every day. We have very similar interests with lifestyle and all that. But trust me, I don't think my son would ever think that I love her more than I love him. Ever. So yeah, I can't possibly pick a favorite. Yeah. So just because I have more in common with one, I talk to her every day and all that, it's still, I don't think my son would ever think I love her more. I don't think he ever would have. So yeah. Love you don't have to have something in common with someone to love them. So I'm scrolling ahead because there's too many questions to answer. But yeah. Do you use pictures instead of words on the behavior board for kids who can't read? Yeah, stickers, pictures, drawings, whatever you have to do. Yeah. And keep it simple. Oh God, some parents, you should see these behavior boards. Some parents, it's one of them, years and years and years ago, he showed me a spreadsheet he made up for the behavior board. I mean, I would have needed to take a course to figure it out. And I said, no. And I can't remember what he was. I don't remember, but he had a job that's what he did. So it was hilarious though. And I said, no, okay, let's regroup here and just, slap up 3 words instead of 300. But it was really cute. He was so into this, but his kids were too little for it. It was cute. How to handle tantrums in the car since they can't see you or ignoring them. They're very aware you're ignoring them. You're right there. You're just not talking to them and you're not looking. Watch that rear view mirror. Do not look in that. So yeah, they're very aware you're ignoring them because normally you would talk to them, right? How early should we, this is the questions about learning, accelerated learning stuff. Okay. I don't usually entertain this, but I will read this. How early should we expect reading, assuming no disabilities? How long is too late? I can't answer that. That's maybe ask a teacher about that or something, because I don't like to have those milestones. I don't like to set an age for anything. Yeah, I don't like to set an age, because if I said, 5, and then your kid isn't reading till they're 6, you're going to go, oh my God, there's something wrong with them. They all learn at different levels. And I don't like accelerated learning unless they are in school and they're struggling. And that's not accelerated, that's keeping up learning. They got such a short period of time to have no worries, no learning, nothing, just play. They learn through play anyway. So yeah, I don't tend to rush any learning. Do you have pearls? I guess you mean pearls of wisdom or advice about how to connect with kids in their world. Okay, lots of parents say, well, I don't like playing with kids. And I say, yeah, I get that. Do you like magic tricks? Do you like science experiments? Do you like drawing? Do you like art? Do you like reading? It can be something like that, but something that they can do as well as you could, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like they're capable of doing it. They're not just watching you. So something interactive. It could be, my kids loved, I just cook up sometimes wet noodles, and we'd put our hands in the wet noodles together. So I thought that was kind of fun. So yeah, just, look up, and I got a million ideas, but I'm not as good as YouTube. So look up YouTube, creative ideas with kids or fun things to do with kids. And, but yeah, just get creative, look up stuff. I'm just here to see what's coming for me. I'll be honest, some kids are super easy. My daughter was born super easy, very calm, never tantrum, never cried or anything. She was just very laid back, very easy. And I could see when she was a baby, she thought before she did anything. She was and I remember when she saw a kid having a tantrum, she looked at the kid like this, like, why would you do that? Like she was just born old, sort of. My mom said I was the same. So whereas my son, if he got frustrated, he just let a tantrum fly. He was more what you call normal. She was more retrospective right from day one. They're not all going to challenge you. Yeah, they're just all different, right? Okay, it's good. I like getting questions about older kids because it's mostly toddler questions on here. And sometimes people with older kids are watching think, oh, this is just about toddlers, and then they bail. Well, I specialize in teenagers, by the way, but most people with teenagers don't turn up to these parenting lives. But they will hire me for coaching, but they don't turn up to these lives as much because they think it's going to be all about toddlers. So whenever I see a question about older kids, I like to dive on it. This is from Miss Noren, ways to help 12 and 6-year-old brothers to connect better. Any activity ideas that they both enjoy? I have no clue what your family likes. It might be sports, it might be games. I don't know. But anyway, what you do is you play with them together and just make it silly stuff like, I don't know, you can watch a TikTok video and just dance it out together, just something silly. So, well, I guess if you're in the United States, you might not have TikTok anymore. But anyway, just something, that you play to the 6-year-old, but you do it together. You're teaching them how to connect through you. Like you can't say, go play, here's something to do. I would do something that you can all enjoy together. It could be going to the arcade. Could be going to go-karting, could be going to paintball or one of those kind of things where you can, and you're there doing it with them too. Oh, I got to move over to TikTok now if you want to join me over there. And I'm on YouTube the whole time. So anyway, you can check that out if you want to move over to YouTube. That's my smallest platform. It goes TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then YouTube. But yeah, YouTube's my smallest platform. So I'm most likely to see your questions on there. Anyway, I remember that one time I said that and I said, so I'm most likely to see your questions. And I forgot to look at YouTube the entire time I did the live because it's a whole different screen. So I said, go over there, I'll answer questions. I never looked at one. So anyway, that's kind of typical of me. Anyway, so check out TikTok. That's where I'm headed now. Happy parenting. And you can look at my website, BratBusters.com, for my free behavior board, my courses, my coaching, and our podcast. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. God, I hope TikTok doesn't end in the States. I'm really going to miss it. I'm going to miss all my American friends on TikTok. I'm in Canada, so we'll still have it. Okay, what time is it? It's 9:03 for me, and I'm usually in bed by now, so I don't know what's going on with me tonight. It's just I just haven't had any time to do a live, and I haven't done a live, I don't think, since Monday maybe. And I used to do, if you've been following me for a while, I used to do lives every single day for about a year and a half. And then the last year, I just haven't had time, or the last 6 months. So, okay, I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up on TikTok. Okay, I don't quite understand this, but I'm going to read it out. I'm just waiting for people to turn up on TikTok, but on YouTube. What phrases or methods do you have for praising a child's process instead of their God-given talents, attributes? So in other words, for trying, I don't go on about praise. I don't go on about it. What I did go on about is I always told my kids I love them every day, hug them every day, a lot of love. But I didn't do a lot of praising. But if they did something neat, I'd go, oh, I love this. But I never lied either. But praising their methods, geez, I don't have anything specific to comment on. So I don't quite know what you mean. But I will it could lead into this discussion that when I was working with kids, I was more likely to praise what they enjoyed rather than praising what they were good at, which is maybe what you mean. What I mean by that is if they're really good at something, but they don't give a hoot about it, I don't tend to praise that. Like, oh, great, you did good on the test. I might say that. But if they did a really good drawing that they were really proud of, that's what I would go on about. See the difference? Anyway, okay, let's get going with the live. I'm on TikTok now and YouTube the whole time. Welcome to the live. I'm Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, mom, and a grandmother. Check out BratBusters.com. You can look at my free behavior board. You can get it if you want. It's free. You can look at my courses, coaching, and our podcast. My daughter and I do that together. So, we filmed, I think it was yesterday we were filming. I did something really dumb, stupid. I look like an idiot. And after we finished, and I said to her, do not edit that out. I want you to see how stupid I am sometimes. I made such a fool out of myself. So that's coming up maybe in the next week or two. And it was funny because I looked over her and she was just sitting there like this. I didn't realize what I'd done. And she's just sitting there like this. So what did I do? What did I do? Oh my God, it was so embarrassing. Oh, someone's asking me about birth and all that. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a parenting coach. I have no qualifications. I've shot out a couple of kids, but that's all I know. I wasn't down at that end doing the work. I was just pushing up at this end. So the doctor would know all about that stuff. Certainly not me. I remember when my daughter was crowning, and the doctor said, "Oh, Ma, I've never seen this before." But he said it in a way that I knew it wasn't something awful. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And I said, what? And he goes, you'll see. And she came up, she had a blonde afro, like a tight blonde afro. And and then it turned straight. After about a month, it just straightened. But yeah, he said, I've never seen this before. You don't want to hear that when you're giving birth. Okay, I'm having sleepless nights over, you call it toddy training. You mean potty or toilet training? I've never heard it called toddy. Maybe some people call that. 2-year-old. Okay, you might want to check out my course. It's in both of my courses, but if you just got a 2-year-old, you might want to check out my toddler course. It goes into detail about the whole process. It's a whole system, how you potty train. And I trained my son in 1 day and my daughter in 2 days. No pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. I was already a leader, so that's why it was so fast with me. But it's a good way to exercise your leadership skills too, because it's all fun. Not for you, but for the child. Believe me, it's not fun for you at all. It's messy. But you got to go, I always say you got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. If you're trying to make everything easy, you're never going to get anything great, right? You got to do the hard stuff to get the good stuff in the end. So yeah, potty training is messy. What about if it's in the car and you can't immediately give a consequence? What's in the car? You mean you got a toddler? You can, if it's 3 and above, you can say something like, we'll talk about this when we get home. But if they're under 3, I don't know what they're doing. What have you given them to do something with? Like if they got toys and food in the car, my kids didn't get either. So yeah, they didn't have anything to throw or eat or mess up. So I don't know what you mean by that. If my kids were hungry in the car, we would pull over and eat somewhere. But there's no way I'd allow food in the car with kids. I'm really fussy. I just don't think you need to eat in the car. Just don't feel that's necessary. How do you get a child that isn't verbal to listen? He's 3. Well, if he has no cognitive challenges, then being nonverbal means nothing. Like they can still understand you. So there's no difference between a nonverbal child that doesn't have any challenges cognitively. Then just because they're not talking doesn't mean they can't hear, right? And you don't get kids to listen. You get kids to make good choices. There's a difference between that. I never sort of talk like that really. Like maybe it comes out sometimes, but, oh, you better listen to me. Like I don't do that. I'm like, I'll lead, they will follow. That's the way I do it. I only focus on myself. When I was working with kids and if they weren't doing the right thing, I always thought to myself, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? So I never focused on them. I focused on me as a leader. You see what I mean? Where can I find your book? I haven't got one. We were going to be 2025 was the year of the book. I've been approached by a lot of publishers and that, and we were going to commit to a book in 2025. What happened was the podcast is taking off. We didn't expect that. So we just started a podcast about 3 months ago, and it's just taking off. So we're like, book or just keep doing more podcasts. We were doing one a week. Now we're doing 2. We might even increase it to 3. But what we're going to start doing soon is we're going to start bringing parents in on the podcast and see how that goes. We asked you about that, and parents said, yeah, we want to be on. We want to be on. So we're now working on the back end of how to make that happen. We can't write a book. It's just me and my daughter, and we can't now. Someone said, well, why don't you hire more people? I'm the only one that can do the parenting stuff. My daughter does the back end marketing. We don't need anyone else for the back end. It's the front end parenting stuff that is taking up all the time. We can only stretch me so far, right? And to keep everything moving well. Like, I don't want to do a subpar podcast and a subpar book. If I'm going to ever write a book, it's going to be my legacy, and it's going to be a good one. So, but if I can't, I'm stretched too thin right now. So we'll see. And I've never read a book on parenting or kids because I'm self-taught. Kids taught me all this. So I can't recommend any books. I've never read one. What do you think of the book? I've never read a book on parenting or kids. Why on earth would I read a book on parenting and kids? Because I'm kid taught. If I want to know about kids or teenagers, I work with kids and teenagers. They've taught me everything. So, and it was the teenagers I was working with that said, you got to teach this stuff, Lisa. I developed my own style. And I've never, ever looked at what anyone else does. I would just doubt very much I'd agree with it. And that's fine. You know what's interesting is because I'm kid taught, they get me way quicker than their parents do. Like when I'm working with parents who have teenagers or just older kids who I've never met, I never meet the kids. They'll often ask their parents, if their parents do something they don't like, they'll often calmly say, can you ask that woman what she thinks of that, if she agrees with you or me? And what's amazing is it's rare that I don't agree with the kids. They've never even met me. They understand once their parents start working with me, they know where this is coming from. I understand kids. But isn't that fascinating? They'll often say to their parents, can you ask Lisa if she agrees with me or you? It's rare that I don't agree with the kid. The parents are often, you're kidding. And I'm like, no, they get it. So, because I'm kid taught. So. Where can we find you if TikTok shuts down? I'm on all the other platforms, BratBusters Parenting. There's a whole bunch of imposters out there, so watch it. They use my videos. They try and use a version of my name. I'm just BratBusters.com. If you go on my website, you'll see Instagram, Facebook, the podcast. A lot of people are finding me on the podcast now. That's where they're actually finding me. It's doing really well. We've only started it 3 or 4 months ago, and it's just doing really well. We're in shock. So yeah, but make sure it's me, because there's a whole bunch of imposters taking money from people and then they don't deliver anything. And then people will eventually find me and say, we bought your course and we never got anything. That wasn't me. That was an imposter. So BratBusters.com is me. It's not .ca, it's not .net, and it's plural, BratBusters.com. So yeah, it's nothing I can do. You shut one, you can't shut imposters down. I'd have to take them to court, and there's like dozens of them out there. So yeah, just doesn't, you can't do it. You just have to let people know where to go. I still think someone's going to come in and save the TikTok day for the United States. I just really believe that. It's too big. And what's going on in the back end with all this stuff, I just don't see how the United States could follow through with that ban. But I don't know enough about it, but I know a little bit, and I just don't see it happening. I think something will happen last minute. I don't know. I hope so. I mean, I'll be fine because I'm on different platforms, but I feel really bad for people who just have a business on TikTok. Love the podcast. Oh, thanks for your support. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's going really well. Okay. Tips that can help when you as the parent are getting angry, especially with yelling toddler, can help you with that. It's sort of like asking a diet center, how do I not eat the ice cream in the freezer? That is your challenge. Your challenge is to not eat the ice cream if you're on a diet. Your challenge is to not show anger. You can still be angry, but to not show anger to a child, because anger is weakness. You're not a leader if you show anger. It's weak. So, and they pick up on that. And it kind of scares them too. They might not look like it does, but it can scare them. They can develop a shell around themselves when you get angry, but you don't want them to do that. You always want your kids to be exposed and vulnerable with you. That means you're a leader and you're a safe place to land. You don't want them to feel they have to protect themselves against your yelling, your anger. So yeah, I want kids to feel completely vulnerable with me, completely, because I'm safe. I don't get angry, right? That's your challenge, though. I can't help you with that. That's your own personal challenge. Someone said, hey, Nan. Yeah, my grandma cap. It's from my granddaughter. I wear this to the gym all the time. I'm the old lady at the gym, which I love. It's like, get out of my way. I'm coming in. You know what I've noticed? Like, I'm 64 now. What I've noticed is as you get older, you really don't give a crap what people think. Like, it's because you so know who you are. You're so comfortable with yourself because you've been around, right? You can't get that wisdom or that any other way. You have to get the wrinkles and the sagging skin with it. And I'm quite all right with that. I love being in my 60s. And you know what's weird about it is I've never liked my appearance more than I do now. And I'm worse looking now than ever. But it's because, hey, I'm healthy. I'm happy, I'm healthy. I'm grateful. So isn't that weird? Like, I remember looking in the, I don't mean it's like I look and I think I'm gorgeous. It's just I'm not critical anymore. Whereas when I was younger, all I ever saw was my flaws. Now I'm just thinking, let's just, get some makeup on, or hardly ever do that even. But yeah, you just get so comfortable with yourself. It's really great. When you look your worst, you feel your best. Go figure that one out, eh? Okay. 4-year-old constantly repeating. So you got a 4-year-old and you're constantly repeating yourself. You're nagging, basically. Yeah, I never say anything twice. So check out the behavior board. It's a good place to start. It's your training wheels with all this stuff. You might want to check out the course, the boot camp course, to set yourself up as a leader. It's all you. It's not your kid. It's all you. You lead, they will follow. It's just natural. It's instinctive. Even as an adult, we're very drawn to someone who makes us feel good. We're very drawn to a leader, someone who brings out the best in us. Have you ever had a mentor, a coach, a teacher, or a grandparent that you look up to? They make you feel good, but they don't take any crap either. So they bring out the best in you. That's what this is all about. So we're just making you the best parent you can be, and then they will follow. So how do you treat that person, though, that mentor, that person that you look up to? Don't you treat them beautifully? Because they make you feel great. That's what a leader does for a child. You make them feel good. Check out the pool story. The video is called Example of Leadership Parenting, and it's pinned here on TikTok. And if you go on YouTube, just type in BratBusters pool story, and it'll turn up. And it's the epitome of what I teach. I teach leadership. You deal with bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid, and then you don't get much bad behavior after that. So yeah, where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. Okay, you got a 3-year-old who throws herself on the floor during a tantrum. Yeah, you can't prevent them from doing that, but what you can do is get a foam helmet, put her on her head, say, okay, put this on. A lot of clients have done that, and they said they only need to do it once. You can get foam helmets for kids and for bigger kids too, because they're for special needs kids, and it prevents them from hurting themselves. So you can get a foam helmet. That's one way of dealing with it. The other way is just physically restraining her when she's going to harm herself, and just don't look at her or talk to her. Just every time she goes to do that, grab her and prevent it and just look away. She'll get it out of her system. It's unusual for a 3-year-old to do that, though. She's kind of next level trying to get at you. So yeah, I would say, oh, you're going to bang your head on the floor. Here you go. Here's your foam helmet. She'll hate it. And always walk into the storm. If you know you're doing the right thing and they're going to get worse, that's a sign that you're doing the right thing. Because if they're heightened emotions mad, and then you come at them with a very controlling, like foam helmet to keep you alive, or I'm holding you to keep you alive, they're going to up it. They're going to get even more angry. You're poking the bear. You want to do that. You want to go into the storm to get to the rainbow. Never try and avoid the storm. Everyone does this. How do I avoid the scenes? You don't. You want the scenes. The scenes are your opportunities to exercise your leadership. Like that 8-year-old kid who said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. You could just see it. He looked at me like, oh, she knows what she's doing. There was no point. And the teacher said to me, what did you do? He was so good with you. And I said, oh, I just asked him to have a fit. I was almost disappointed he didn't, because that's my opportunity to exercise my calm leadership, right? So yeah, but you can just see it. He instantly thought, oh, she knows what she's doing. So why have a fit with someone, a leader? Like they just don't. They might initially try. You're trying to turn. I came to that kid a leader. I already had the energy. A lot of it is just your energy. I already had that, right? But you had not a calm leader energy. So you're transitioning. They're going to remember the old you. They're going to try and get that back. So you've got to work 10 times harder, or it might not be harder, but longer. It's going to take you longer to get respect. Whereas I can sometimes walk into a room and get it because I've already got the energy and the confidence, right? So you've got to learn. You're learning while you're teaching your kid, you're getting it. So of course it's going to be harder. Makes sense, right? I've put in 50 years, more than 50 years now working with kids. So, I earned this. Like I worked my butt off to figure kids out. And I did it all just volunteering. I loved it. I thought if you can figure out kids at every stage, you can figure out yourself, because that's how we all formed. I can literally remember what it felt like to be 4, 5, 11. Because I've studied kids for so many years now. And I reflected back on my own stages at that, and I can literally remember what it felt like. So yeah, I studied kids. I found them fascinating. Have you ever worked with ABA? Yep. When ignoring a tantrum and they start damaging things I can't remove, how do I keep ignoring? You restrain them if they're little. If they're older and they're too big, you just have to lose some stuff. Okay, you're going to have some holes in the wall. You can't physically restrain a 15-year-old. You're just going to have to let them damage property. I only would try and restrain them if they were hurting themselves or hurting someone else. Property you can replace eventually or whatever. Can't worry about that. So yeah, if they're that big and and you can't restrain them, you've kind of taught them to do that. Remember, they're just a reflection of your parenting. So you've just got to accept that and say, we're going to do better in the future. And we're just going to have to let property get damaged if they're too big to physically restrain. Oh, I always hug my 3-year-old during tantrums. Now he just cries longer. Of course, good tantrum. Good. Keep going. Come on. You're rewarding it. You're telling him this is great. This is great. That's what you're doing. Exactly what you're doing. So now, it's not too late to ignore. Ignore him. Change it up. I've got a million videos, not a million, but I got probably hundreds of videos on tantrums. So you can go through. A lot of people go through my just binge watch. I couldn't do it, but they binge watch my videos. You'll start to get the whole psychology of it all, because it's just common sense. And I'm old. I've been doing this forever. So if you maybe go through some videos on a topic, just look up BratBusters, Tantrums, or whatever, listen to a bunch of videos, and repetition, hearing the same thing over and over again. I do that when I'm learning with business stuff or mindset. I'm really into mindset stuff and, how to shift your thinking, and because your thinking guides your actions, which guides your outcome, right? So I'm really into all this stuff. And but I have to hear the same thing a million times. I don't go, the first time I'll hear something that I think is a great piece of advice, I go, that's great. And then I forget it. But if I've heard it 100 times, it starts to get in there. And so, yeah, a lot of my clients say, even when they're working with me, in coaching, they'll say that they'll watch a lot of videos and it just starts to sink in more. I'm not doing that for marketing. I'm not like that. You know me. Well, you should know. I don't talk like that. But anyway, a lot of my clients say it helps. A lot of them. So. What time is it? Oh God, it's 9:30. I'm a morning person. I'm up at 4 or 5 every morning. So I'm not good at night. I just came on here tonight late because I haven't been doing lives as much. I'm just so busy these days. And I miss doing lives. And because the podcast has really taken over and coaching. If you know, I've got a big wait list for coaching. So I try and fit as many people in. I usually have about 100 clients on the go at any given time. So you can imagine. But I'm very careful with that. Some of them, they're doing okay. So they say, we'll get back to you when we want another session. So then I'll take on another client. So I might have a bunch of them sort of on hold in a holding pattern. But so I'm really busy, but I still want to do the lives. So the podcast is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast, and it's on all the platforms. It's doing really, really well, thanks to your, listening to it. And also, I want to remind you too, and this is really important. We don't have business plans in our business. We are following your lead. So wherever you go, whatever you respond to and like, we put more energy into that. That's why we haven't started the book yet. We were going to start it in January. There's no way. Where the podcast is just taking off. So we're putting our energy into the podcast. We're here for you. Yeah, it's a business, but we're already doing fine. We're here to serve you wherever you want to be served, however you want to be served. So the podcast is free. These lives are free. All the videos are free. The courses and the coaching isn't free, but the other stuff, most of what we do is free. So, and that's very important because this is not just a business to me. This is my calling in life. This is my passion in life. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. I loved it. It was the most fun I ever had. And I want you to enjoy it. I don't just want you to raise nice kids. You want that. But my main goal whenever I'm teaching parenting is I want you to be happy. I want you to be enjoying your kids. That is always my goal. That's a passion project. I've been doing this for 20 years in my business. And for 50 years, I've been working with kids trying to figure them out. And I think I've kind of got them figured out. So I take all that knowledge and I throw it into my business. But I want you to enjoy parenting. I want you to have fun. Anyway, I got to go. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can see my free behavior board, my courses, coaching, and you can look into our podcast. What I love about the podcast is my daughter and I do it together. She's my best friend. She's my daughter. She's my business partner. So she does all the marketing, all the planning. We have completely separate jobs, so there's no overlap. They said, oh, well, how do you watch? How do you know when your daughter's working in that? And like as if I'm her boss. I said, I don't have a clue. She's her own boss. So she's more likely to tell me what to do. She's way more disciplined than I am. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate that. And I hope I'm helping. That's why I'm here. So thanks so much for watching. Happy parenting. Bye now.